What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jake Cal, and like I said, this is the pre-party, the hour before power, where we talk to the NWA fam each and every week here on Tuesdays, the hour before power. That's I guess that would be 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. Thanks for joining us. If this is your first time on the show, say what's up, man. And just to let you all know, I am, in fact, a Lamb Sub guy. Yes, sir. I probably wear this shirt, even though Lamb Sub doesn't see us. But welcome to the show, guys. I see you're already in the chat. You're already chit-chatting it up. That's good. That's good. I'm just getting my phone on mute so that we don't get any silly phone calls in the middle of the podcast here. Yeah, what a fun week for the NWA, right? I mean, would it have gotten any worse after last? It's robotic. Hold on. Is it still robotic? Can you guys tell me? Do I sound like a robot? Oh, geez, really? Oh, geez. Let me know in the comments if the audio still sounds like shit. No, does it sound bad? I can't really do anything about it now. That'd be the cable's plugged in. Hey, yo. Yeah, this. How about now? You got reverb now? Hey, yo. Testing 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Alliance. Keep it. I keep it very close. Very close. It's robotic? Really? Oh, man. I wish I knew how horrible it sounded. I shall keep the microphone very close to my mouth. Oh, man. I don't know what I can do about this. Type your fellas. Let me just see. Pull it up. See where it's at. Test. 1, 2, 3. Test. I don't know, guys. I don't know. A wired issue, but it's a USB. All right. Well, hey, let's roll with it, fellas. I don't want to spend too much more time on it. Hey, man, did you guys know that we're 3 years removed from the NWA debut in the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios? Yeah, it was September 30th and October the 1st, 2019, when the NWA premiered its new show, Power. I was a part of the press conference. I was there. Mr. Gary Horn was there. We got introduced to uh, the Burt. The Burt made its debut at that press conference. We saw all kinds of talent. So we had at the time we had the wild card, which was Tom Latimer, Royce Isaacs, your NWA World Tag Team Champions. Yeah, M5. No, I do not want to order a number 3 with anchovies and peppers. James says they wishes they were back at the ATL. You know, that was a sweet spot, but apparently it didn't work. It didn't work well for the team. By the way, Media M5, we got the orange mango ice today. Orange and mango. Dave, you were there, huh? Man, you didn't even get to say hi or nothing. I did meet Gary Horn there. I met Saul Adam Rotella. I did get to meet. I did meet Rob Stinson there, but I went there and met a bunch of my friends that I made at the 70th anniversary show. So I met the Dawn of Wrestling there. I met the Big Chi there, and let's see, who else did I meet there? Stanley was there. Larry Bowser was there. You guys probably don't know many of those folks. They don't really seem to jump on these videos, which kind of makes me sad, but it is what it is, right? The audio just fixed itself. Yeah, crazy thing, huh? Maybe it's the internet. Maybe it was the internet. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, as we talk about the NWA, 3 years ago, let's take a look back at the old playback. Like I was saying, the old heavyweight champion was the illustrious national treasure Nick Aldis. Their tag team champions were the wild card, Paul Vladimir and Chris Isaacs. Decorated tag team. Your national champion was James Brother Evans Storm, and your women's champion, who was presented with the bird, was not Thunder Rosa, as some people believe, but actually Allison Kay. And this predated a NWA television championship. This predated, obviously, the women's tag team titles, and of course, predated the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship. And as I said earlier, if you read the profile here that we wrote before the show, in those 3 years, we have had 3 different wrestlers, 3 different men hold the 10 pounds of gold. We had 4 different women hold the NWA Women's World Championship, the Burke, if you will. There have been 6 tag team champions in that time, and 9 different national champions. Clearly, that title is the most popular title defended on Power and pay-per-view and USA. And then also we saw the advent of the television championship, the women's tag team championship, and the US tag titles, of course, the World Junior Heavyweight title. Now, remember, it was at Hard Times, the first Hard Times, where Ricky Starks won the television title, thus launching that belt into orbit. And of course, Ricky Starks would lose the belt to Zicky Dice. Zicky Dice would lose that belt to the Pope. And then, of course, the Pope would turn around and lose it to Tyrus. And then after Tyrus, he just relinquished the championship. And now we know, right? Now we know it's going to be either Jordan Clearwater or AJ Kazana, who is going to be the next world television champion. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? What do you guys think about those? Are your finalists? That's in a bracket that contained Jax Dane. That's a bracket that contains Anthony Mayweather, Marche Rocket, Ricky Morton. There was a lot of good talent in those qualifying matches for the TV title. I mean, we had even Max the Impaler crossover into the men's division. Hell, Caprice Coleman looked great in that tournament. The Pope looked great in that tournament. I say tournament, but they were really just matches. I heard someone mention that they would love to see the Pope and Caprice Coleman as a tag team. How do you guys feel about that? All right, let me read through some of your comments. I kind of ignored you guys in the beginning of the show. So let's see. Of course, my pal Media M5 is here. He's enjoying his ice. Willie Bowen's enjoying the cherry limeade. Nice. Jeremy is here. James Bell is here drinking some fruit punch. Hisa said I had some audio issues. I think they're all resolved now, hopefully. Hey, Jay, didn't want to say anything. The whole reverb. Mr. Roboto. Willie Bowen says that was a good match with Camille and Max the Impaler. Yeah, that was from the pay-per-view. Of course, it was an excellent match. It's probably the best match, in my opinion, of the 74th anniversary show. Camille, definitely the MVP of that pay-per-view, though both nights, considering that she had 2 stellar opponents that she had to face in Taya Valkyrie and Max the Impaler. Let me see here. You know what I forgot to. I pride myself on being more prepared for the show than today. Or should have been anyone. Exactly. Of course. So, that was me. Even all this time later, both men are no longer in the NWA. Guys, I mean, if you look at it from episode, first season, right? Ricky Starks gone, Eddie Kingston gone, Dice gone, Royce Isaacs gone, James Storm, Eli Drake gone. I mean, there was a lot of great talent that was associated with the brand that were gone. Ken Anderson gone, Colt Cabana gone. I mean, that was like the kind of the main event, right? Those guys are all out of the picture now. Uh, Medium 5 says he misses Starks, not Dice. However, I wouldn't mind seeing either back in the NWA. I just don't think that's in the cards. I mean, I could be wrong, but like with Zicky Dice, there was a lot of tension between the front office and Zicky Dice on his way out. I think Ricky Starks just took the money. You know, he was presented with an opportunity. The NWA was essentially on its knee for COVID. And, Ricky Starks took an opportunity to make a better living for himself. And I don't think anyone blames him for doing so. And the same thing with Colt Cabana and Eddie Kingston and all that. Now, I do know that Eddie Kingston was being looked at for an opportunity for the 10 pounds of gold, but that obviously never materialized. But he did make a, challenge out to Nick Aldis. He made a challenge out to Cody, and just none of that ever materialized. I don't care for it much, to be honest, Jay. Only really Jackson Rocket, but we all know the end result. Yeah, there was a lot of guys in that match who I would have been very cool with them winning the opportunity to wrestle for the TV title. The least of which would be, the Pope. I feel like the Pope really made that TV title something special when he held it. I would have loved to see him get an opportunity to crack at it again. Caprice Coleman is a guy who I don't know how much longer we have Caprice Coleman, but I think while he's here, they should be utilizing him better than they have been. He's a phenomenal performer in the ring. He's phenomenal on the mic. He can do it all. And just even a short run with the TV title, I think would be meaningful in the matches he could have had. Now, Jordan Clearwater is a guy who I very much enjoy, who I think, man, are the NWA going to pull the trigger? But I just don't know. There's reasons to do it, and then I see there's reasons not to do it. It'll be interesting how it all plays out. Ricky Morton pinned Jack Stane, lost all interest, and I was there live. Well, yeah, Ricky Morton shouldn't be pinning anyone, but the thing about it is Jack Stane is not a selfish wrestler. When they probably presented that to him in the back, he was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem," because he understands the weight he carries in the NWA. I just don't think that I would have had Ricky Morton pin him. I think for me, I would have had some sort of screw job where Mayweather and Jax fought to the back or something. Because, if you guys remember, Mayweather cost Jax Dane the national championship at the 74th, and Jax kind of returned the favor, but not really got involved. He just came out to ringside and watched the match, which caused some animosity for Mayweather and didn't afford him the opportunity to focus on the match. Morton shouldn't have pinned anyone. Let's see. And you guys are talking about some Hennessy. Well, you guys might be hanging out with Danny Limelight when you're drinking Hennessy. I'll just take a cold beer if that's okay with you. Willie Bowen says Laredo Kid should be on the NWA USA competing for the World's Junior Heavyweight Championship. Now, Laredo Kid's pretty awesome. I've seen him live. I've seen him in Mexico live, and he is very talented. You've seen him on Impact, and he's been a part in the NWA in the past. In fact, he was at the 70th anniversary show wrestling against the last World Junior Heavyweight Champion in Barrett Brown. but nothing ever came to that, and that's kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, they can't sign everybody, and it feels like the NWA is very selective on who they sign. And until recently, we're kind of turning their nose up at junior heavyweights. So maybe that'll change. Maybe we'll see some more influx of junior heavyweights. But as of right now, I still don't see them investing a ton of time, effort, and energy into it. I mean, the next junior heavyweight title match that is booked that we know we're going to get is at Hard Times 3, when we're going to get Kerry Morton versus Homicide Part 2, which just is crazy to me. I don't know why we're getting it again. It wasn't very good the first time around. And Jeremy points out that Ricky could have been eliminated third and not pinned anyone and still look strongish. Yeah, and those kind of matches are very unpredictable. They could have done lots of things different, but obviously, they're trying to put over Ricky Morton, which at this point, I don't get it. We just saw Ric Flair have his last match recently, and now he's going back to the well. We're hearing Ricky Steamboat is having his last match again. And I don't know that I need to see that match either. I don't need to see either one of those guys wrestle anymore. I don't really need to see Ricky Morton wrestle. In fact, someone posted in the official NWA forum on Facebook about how, hey, Ricky should hang up the boots, and he got a lot of pushback from that. Somebody posted that. He got a lot of pushback from some of the commenters, and one person replied, "Hey, he looks good for his age," which is a phenomenal compliment. He does look good for his age, but when you've got Jordan Clearwater, excuse me, you got Jordan Clearwater, and you've got Marshe Rocket, and you've got a host of talent who are good and young and solid in that ring. Well, I mean, I'd rather watch them than a 62, 63-year-old Ricky Morton. I saw him at the Crockett Cup in 2019, and I was very disappointed. We saw them win the tag team titles, and I was there in Atlanta, Georgia, going back 3 years ago. It was really cool to see them win the tag titles. It was historic. It was meaningful. But, then they could have lost them and disappeared, and that would have been just great with me. Jag says, wish I could have started drinking before watching USA, but I did after. Billy Batshit booking. That's funny. It's funny because it's true. Excuse me, guys. I'm still a little under the weather. I can't shake this cough. So, yeah. So when you look at the NWA for the past 3 years, again, it's changed so much. The dynamic has changed. You can look and feel the show has changed. I'm very much anticipating, in 3 years, this whole roster will look different again. But like, take for granted all the wonderful talent that we had, and now they are gone. But look at some of the talent that we've seen over the last few years. I mean, hope that now has been a part of the NWA for the past few years. Remember, Camille, she started 3 years ago with simply just the insurance policy. They called it insurance, right? You look at the Marty Bell was sided with Elder Rosa and the trio who they made their debut in power. And now look at Mary Millhouse too, with a very dominant tag team for the NWA. You look at talents like Jack Stane, he wasn't on the first season of the NWA. It sounds like I'm. Do I still sound like I'm underwater? How about now? Yeah. Somehow I muted the microphone, but how about now? We good now? Let's go. Let's go. This has been the Alliance guys pre-party. Woo! Feeling a little bit defeated with technology today. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the amount of talent that have showed up in the NWA, I mean, we see, we lost Eli Drake, we lost James Storm, but now we've got EC3, now we've got Matt Cardona. We've got some great talent that is involved with the NWA. Trevor Murdoch was there on day one of the Power tapings. In fact, he wrestled against Nick Aldis on the second day of taping, and his contributions to the NWA, he went from I don't even know if I want to be here to World's Heavyweight Champion twice. You got to give props to Trevor Murdoch for that. You look again at the tag team division, and I mean, we were looking at really the tag teams that were connected to the NWA. Just 3 years ago, it was basically strictly business. Tom Latimer and Royce Isaacs. You had Eddie Kingston teaming with Homicide. Let's see, you had the Dawson brothers. Then for a brief while, we were starting to get the question mark, the original, the only question mark, teaming with Aaron Stevens. And then Eli Drake and James Storm. And I think the only reason why they were put together is because they didn't want to put them in the world title picture just yet. We are professionals. James, no one trained me for this. I just figured it out. Somehow, some way I connected a camera to my computer and I said, let's go. I've got this real fancy microphone that apparently doesn't work half the time. Yeah. Dave Scooby says, I miss Kingston and the stab him up chance. Yeah, he was in a really bad mood and he brought a screwdriver and well, you can guess the rest. Dave Marquez, I think, look, I very much enjoyed the job that Kyle Davis does. I think he does a very good job. It's not to discredit him whatsoever, but man, Dave Marquez at the podium had that Gordon Soley feel. And that, of course, that was done on purpose. That was done because Dave idolized Gordon Soley. He was one of his mentors in the business. So, when he had that opportunity, he took him up on it to try to emulate that style. But yeah, those shows were great. I mean, the debut of the question mark, it was so organic. It didn't feel forced, right? He came out there and had his match and it was a goof. And everyone just kind of said, huh, all right. Yeah, I dig this. And then they had to, I think it was something to do with there was something with the cameras not working right, or they had to replace a lens or something. So the question mark just ran wild through the whole entire arena, going up and down the crowds. And it really got the fans into it and made question mark even more likable. It's like, hey, are we taking notes? Because if you're trying to get a character over, you already had a formula for it. You're trying to call these guys the question mark and the question mac, but they're not emulating anything that the question mark used to do. Go dive into the fans. Go be a part of the crowd. Make people believe again. Make people have fun again. Yeah. So anyways, at Media M5, you're making me hungry, man. You got some good stuff that you're cooking there. I'm probably going to have some tacos because it's Taco Tuesday, and there just happens to be a great taqueria just around the house. I mean, look, Media, when it comes to some of the booking decisions, it very well could be Steven suggesting it, but I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked at all if it was just Billy saying, hey, you know what would be fun? You know what would be fun, guys? Is that a good impression of him? Hey, guys, you know what would be fun? Billy Corgan will never come on my podcast ever again. You think it's a rib between Billy and Aaron Stevens? I mean, it could be. Like, I know that from what I've been told from the few sources I still have with the NWA, that Billy does like 99% of the booking, and I mean, he's mentioned on countless times that, like, hey, if you don't like it, too bad. Which is kind of a weird approach to me, but I guess that's not unlike what the WWE has done for years. They kind of teach you what you're going to like and what you don't like. However, that's why I really don't watch the WWE, and I stick to watching independent wrestling promotions. Damn, you guys are eating some good food. Willie Bone says, wet steak burritos? Woo! That sounds delicious. Maybe I'll have a burrito instead. Carne asada. Hot damn. You guys are making a fat kid hungry over here. But that's enough talking about what the NWA was. We're in the now. We're going to see what the NWA brings to the table here tonight on Power. And we've got some pretty good matches laid out. And they better be some good matches because last week was atrocious. But let's take a look at some of the matches that we have in store for tonight's wrestling. Of course, we have the return of Flip Gordon to NWA Power. Of course, we haven't seen Odinson for a while either. Now, remember, these two got into it at the 74th anniversary show. Odinson attacked Gordon and then attacked Aldis, and they've, Flip has been dying for that rematch. Now, this isn't a match necessarily that I would book for Odinson because, Flip is a great cruiserweight. He's a great junior heavyweight. And I think I would rather see Flip wrestling Homicide in the junior heavyweight title than wrestling Odinson. But I guess you need something somewhere, someplace to start making that singles run push for Odinson. We didn't see Paro at the before the pay-per-view. We haven't seen Paro in months, and I don't know when we'll ever see Paro again in an NWA ring. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of wait a minute. Dave Scooby, are you telling me it's National Taco Day on Taco Tuesday? Man, the stars have aligned for my dinner tonight. Guacamole, cilantro, onions, corn tortillas. Let's go. Sorry, I'm getting too excited about tacos. I'm going to go get tacos. Let's see. Media M5 says, last Power made me question my all-access pass. Thankfully, it's only a one-time charge. Look, if it was a daily charge, right, if you had to pay each time to watch it, I agree. I think if I'd have paid for that, I don't think I'd be paying for the next one. However, the majority of the episodes of Power haven't been that bad, and that was a Power surge. Again, we know they're stretching out content as far as they can take it because the next television tapings aren't even until next month. So these episodes of Power that they filmed around the 74th anniversary, in fact, actually they filmed the Monday following at the Nashville Skyline Studios. So they had to stretch out as much content as they can. I just wish they could have done a better job with it. The Odinson promo, I enjoyed it, but his voice doesn't fit the character. It's like you see Tyson box, then hear Tyson speak. Yeah, but you know what? Tyson was a bad dude. He could talk however he wanted to. He could have inflated those lungs with helium. When that man was in front of you, you listened. And I feel like Odinson is kind of like the same thing. Although, to be perfectly honest, I kind of felt like they were building up towards a Strictly Business reunion. And I feel like Odinson was going to be a part of that, putting Odinson with maybe Doug Williams and Nick Aldis as the new Strictly Business. Maybe even adding Tom Latimer to the mix, who knows? But evidently they didn't want to go that route, or that wasn't the plan at all. That's how it felt to me. It felt like Odinson, and I remember early on, Aldis a few years ago, not on this podcast, not even on the This Is the Pro Wrestling podcast, but another podcast out there had mentioned how much he enjoyed Odinson and thought how Odinson was one of the guys who could take it to the next level. So I really feel like Aldis was kind of pushing to see Odinson get into a better spotlight with the NWA. And perhaps that's what's happening now. Again, I'm only estimating. These aren't hard, cold facts. Odinson sounds a lot more like a surfer guy. Fair enough. Excuse me. The next match we have set up for tonight, we'll see a debut of a new talent to the NWA, Trax. Now, I didn't do my homework on Trax like I normally do, but he is not a newcomer to pro wrestling. He is a world's traveler, but this is his debut for the NWA, and we'll have some questions answered when he's in the ring with EC3, and I imagine that we'll see some Control Your Narrative making their way onto the show. Of course, Control Your Narrative initially was EC3's answer to the forbidden door, if you will, the do-it-yourself wrestling that was made famous by Colt Boom Boom Cabana and the Young Bucks. It seemed like EC3 was looking to start his own wrestling promotion, and it seemed like there was a lot of interest, both good and bad, but there was a lot of talent. Who, let's say, some of the stars of that program had some questionable character flaws, to say the least. But however, they seem to have a lot of positive momentum. That is until the artist formerly known as Braun Strowman returned to the World Wrestling Entertainment and kind of took the wheels out of the show. I know they canceled a lot of their upcoming bookings. I don't know that Control Your Narrative still really exists outside of a gimmick for the NWA. I'm okay with that. I feel like there's room to grow there, and I wouldn't even hate the idea of a CYN program happening with NWA-based talents. I think it would be good for business, but it just feels like this match that we're going to get tonight between Trax and EC3 is just a way to show EC3 beating somebody with some bigger size and bigger strength, and basically controlling that narrative that we're eventually going to get EC3 and Tom Latimer once again. Guardian of Chaos says it's dead in the water. For all intents and purposes, it is. I mean, as long as EC3 is alive and wrestling, I guess it's not officially dead. But I just don't know how much I'm going to be holding my breath for the next CYN event. With that being said, I wish they wouldn't have canceled those events that they did a few months ago. I think they could have co-promoted those events with the NWA. It would have been a great spot, great opportunity for the NWA to get some more content for the wrestling program. And I think it would have done a lot to keep that whole CYN thing going for EC3. And the fact that it didn't happen, yeah, it probably means that the whole deal is over. But I don't know. It never really appealed to me. I didn't really. Paladin says CYN started off as a stable. Well, that makes sense because that's where it is now. I felt like they could have done a whole lot more with it. I feel like it had potential. It's not going to be the NWO, right? It's just not. It was never going to be the NWO. It was never going to be the Bullet Club. But they could have done some interesting stuff with it. And with a wrestling promotion like the NWA or even Major League Wrestling or even Championship Wrestling presented by CarShield, the United Wrestling Network program, there could have been some things they could have done with those type of programs that would have made the stable feel relevant and kind of it could have been interesting. Was it ever going to take over the world? Nah, it wasn't going to be your NWO, but I think it certainly could have. I think it could have done something a little bit more. They could have got a little bit more juice out of it. But, it is what it is, right? EC3 is working with the NWA, and that's a great addition to the NWA roster. Like I said earlier, we lost a lot of star power from year 1 to year 3. And, it wasn't until the likes of guys like Matt Cardona and EC3 returning to the NWA. I mean, you look at the World Heavyweight title picture, and I'm not saying that this is a top 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but when you look at the NWA's top tier challengers for the World's Heavyweight Championship, you have to include Tyrus because he just cashed in, had a pretty good match against Trevor Murdoch at the 74th. But then you got Matt Cardona, who again is one of the hottest things in independent wrestling right now. He might have diminished a little bit after the arm injury, but he's still one of the top guys in the indies right now. When you hear people talk about indie wrestling, his name comes up quite a bit. And then, of course, you've still got Nick Aldis. Now, we've fortunately and smartly and correctly, the NWA took their foot off the Nick Aldis gas pedal, and he hasn't been featured in the main event, and he's not featured in the World's Heavyweight title match. And that's a good reason. That's a good thing. If he challenges after hard times, it'll have been months since he's had an opportunity to wrestle for the World's Heavyweight Championship. And that makes us as fans appreciate what he does in the ring even more. But then you still got guys like Tom Latimer, EC3, in my humble opinion, Jack Zane, of course, the Pope. And we're finally starting to look like there's like 6 or 7 guys who would make good challenges for the 10 pounds of gold. That's something that I don't think we've had ever since the NWA's been back since 2017. Remember, it was October 1st, 2017, that it became official that Billy Corgan, Dave Lagana, Dave Marquez were basically assuming control of the NWA. Of course, Billy Corgan had purchased it a little bit earlier, but they finally took over. The NWA finally came into fruition. We saw Tim Storm show up in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and not long after that, we saw Nick Aldis chasing him for that 10 pounds of gold. So I'm just saying, the influx of star power is good. The control your narrative, whether it sticks around or not, is irrelevant. EC3 is a star. He's a good talent to have on the card, and I hope he does become a potential challenger for the 10 pounds of gold. Guardian Chaos has brought up some great points. Most talent are beholden to money, obviously. The control your narrative versus money wins. Absolutely. And then at the beginning of the show, we pointed out Eddie Kingston left. Zicky Dice, Ricky Starks, eventually Eli Drake, James Storm. No one sticks around for long if they have better options. And I'm not trying to insult the NWA when I say this, but look at the trajectory of Eddie Kingston's career now working for AEW versus where he was in the NWA. He was working in a tag team and maybe heading to a feud with the Pope on Power. And then during the pandemic, cut a promo on Nick Aldis, which almost resulted in a match that just never came to fruition because he was signed with AEW. And since then, he's had main event matches in AEW. He's really sat on the higher end of the card for AEW. So you got to give props to Kingston. But yeah, money wins. Money always wins. The next matchup that I'm really looking forward to, I think you guys will be too, is we get Genocide in a non-title match with Camille. Now, this is a matchup. Oh man, Genocide recently won the Mission Pro Mission Pro Women's Championship. Now, that is not an NWA title, has no correlation to the NWA, but it just shows you that people are starting to take her, a little bit more seriously, giving her a little bit better opportunities. And Genocide, again, her and Lady Frost to me were two of the most well-polished females in the NWA. That wasn't Thunder Rosa or Camille. And the fact that she's still here means the NWA still has an opportunity to do things with her. If that, television title ever comes into fruition for the women's division, Genocide is my pick, bar none. And this match should be good if they give her the match and not throw it out from some silly shenanigans. We haven't seen them in the ring a lot, so I feel like getting this to a point where we're going to get some good quality talent, I think, or a good quality match here on Power. I'm excited for it. More of the comments. Jay, he was managing the babyface team of Eli and James Storm. Matthew, are you talking about Eddie Kingston? I'm confused. Throw that comment back up when you get a chance, Matthew. I'd like to know what you're talking about because I'm confused. James Bell says, I feel current story with EC3 is pulling Tom Latimer out of the shadows into his own spotlight. 100%, James, and it's much needed because they didn't do it the right way. They didn't do it when they had the chance with Nick Aldis. In fact, he got buried by Nick Aldis. It did nothing for him. It just further pushed him into obscurity. So I'm glad EC3 is bringing him into the spotlight, but at some point, EC3 should also get an opportunity to challenge for that 10 pounds of gold. Matthew, he really wasn't managing Eli and James. He was teaming with Homicide. Remember, him and Homicide were teaming up, and first they took on what were their names? The Dawsons, the brothers Dawsons, and the Pope was managing them. And then the Pope ended up bringing in, I can't remember. They're two bigger guys from Ring of Honor. I can't remember their names right now, but they were there for a hot minute. And Kingston was really trying to get to the Pope. And I think Kingston's feud was supposed to lead to him wrestling the Pope had the pandemic not pushed all that and put everything on pause. Willie Bowen is a big fan of Genocide and Allison Kay. Dave Scooby says, I would love to see Victor Benjamin and Lady Frost return to the NWA someday. It seems like Lady Frost has got stuck in some sort of contract with Impact that they're not using her, but they're not letting her out of the contract, which seems like a total dick move. And that's not something you normally hear about Impact. It seems like they're very easy to work with. So I don't know what happened with Lady Frost and Impact management, but it's a shame because if they're not going to use her, they should definitely let her, go out and wrestle elsewhere. Now we know she's going to be at CMLL, and she's going to kill it there if that hasn't already happened. And Dave Scooby's right. The Bouncers, that's the tag team. I couldn't think of their name. Let's see. Paladin, even if that's the case, that seems stupid to me. I don't know why. Again, I don't know details. I'm not an insider, and I'll be honest with you. Masa Slamovich was over, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to put her over. I mean, she was killing it, and she had some success in the on the Indies before debuting on Impact. I don't know why they wouldn't have put her over, but Jeremy says, I'd like to see Genocide win this match since it's a non-title. I don't care if it's a hinky finish either. Hinkies, chinkies. Yeah, I don't care either. It would mean a lot more for Genocide to win than it would be for Camille to lose, especially if you're going to put some shenanigans into it. Now, again, we know that Taya Valkyrie is supposed to be challenging the Women's World Champion at Hard Times 3, but there's no graphic yet. And as I put the tinfoil hat on my head, the conspiracy theorist says that maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe we don't have a graphic for that match yet because it's going to change. And maybe Camille isn't holding the Burke by the time we get to Hard Times 3, or they're going to change the match and maybe it becomes a 4-way or 5-way or something. I don't think they'll go with a triple threat, but we'll see. All right. Let's see. Ever since the NWA, we haven't seen Jenna on ECW, which I don't mind, but we wish we would see more Jenna in NWA itself. Frost, I haven't seen in a long while. It probably has to do with her Impact contract. 100% has to do with her Impact contract. 100%. I don't think she's allowed to work any wrestling promotion that has television in the United States. I think that's why she's able to work CMLL because it's in Mexico. Willie wants to remind us that she is the grandfather, Lady Frost, of Tony Marino. Paladin also reminds us that Tenille Dashwood's last match was losing to Slamovich. Lady Frost refused. And if that's the case, that's stupid. I bet you if they offered her that opportunity now, she would do it. Same for Madison Rain because she left to AEW. She's lost to Slamovich. What's wrong with putting over Slamovich? I don't have a problem with that. I thought you might have meant AEW. I just read ECW and I went with it. I thought maybe you're talking about a local indie or something. What is understood without much detail or said is Impact and Frost are having contract issues. Frost hasn't really said much, but I understand Frost can't wrestle for anyone but Impact at this moment. And then Paladin brings up that Frost claimed Impact was mentally abusing her and they didn't care for her physical well-being. I can't really comment on that because, one, I have no inside sources at Impact, none. I listen to Tommy Dreamer on Busted Open, and I don't consider that an inside source. However, it feels like that doesn't match the what we hear about Impact. Now, I could be wrong, but that's not what I get from what we hear about Impact. Obviously, each talent has to deal with things in their own way, and everybody, it's what's the word I'm trying to say? Things change from person to person, attitude to attitude, deal to deal. So, as much as I love Lady Frost, I think she's a great talent. She's a great wrestler. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'm not going to paint her in a negative spotlight, nor am I going to paint Impact in a negative spotlight. I hope whatever trivial issue this is can get worked out. It sucks that someone doesn't feel appreciated or that they're not being taken care of because, well, that just sucks. at the same time, I could see as a company not wanting to release a talent that could be potentially valuable. However, if you're just going to put her on the shelf and not use her, that's stupid. So they should figure something out that makes sense for all parties involved. And then Paladin points out, yeah, okay. And again, Paladin, if you're getting this information firsthand and you're hearing all this, more power to you. I haven't heard any of it, and honestly, what you're telling me is more than I've actually heard previous. But to me, that just doesn't make sense why a talent wouldn't be willing to put over anybody. Poyo is in the house. Poyo, you're always welcome here. Thanks for checking us out. Paladin says, I think Frost is upset. She was supposed to be the new champion, but right after she came on Impact, it picked up Mia Yim, and then Taya got released by WWE, so she came over as well, and Frost got pushed to the side. Yeah, well, again, whatever's happened in Impact, I don't have, of course, I don't have any sources there. So what you're saying, I mean, sounds fine, but unless I see it from an actual source, and that I'm not trying to discredit you, Paladin, I just take everything with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? And I don't weigh in on either way. But Poyo, we're kind of talking about the situation with Lady Frost and Impact. And you could read some of the comments above in the chat. I don't really know what's going on, so I don't really want to offer my opinion. Just that I'm going to reiterate, Lady Frost is an amazing talent. Anybody would be lucky to have her in their wrestling promotion, and hopefully whatever issues between her and Impact can be worked out, whether she rejoins the roster or is given her release. I don't know. And Paladin, I get it, man. You're absolutely right, and I'm not trying to shit talk you at all. It's just that if I say something, people might think that I'm seeing it as an insider or saying it from a reliable source. And if I'm not a reliable source, I don't want to pretend to be one. I like talking about wrestling, but I am nobody's inside source. Those days are long gone. Back when I used to have the ear of many NWA promoters back in the old days, Ken Taylor and Tony Givens and the promoter for New Jersey, Phil Varlese, Fred Rubenstein. I mean, I can name a bunch of names, but you guys probably don't even know them. Of course, David Marquez. I used to have those guys' ears, and I used to be able to talk to these guys, and I had inside information, but those days are gone. Oh, it's AAA. I erroneously said CMLL. Thank you for the correction. It is AAA. And yeah, I think she's going to kill it in AAA. In fact, I think that she's more suited for a lucha libre style of wrestling. She's very talented. She's able to do high risk maneuvers very effortlessly. She looks great in the ring. I think she's going to do great there. Poyo says better late than knocked up. That's for sure, Poyo. That's for sure. Hey, Poyo, the next time you do something out in Palm Springs, let me know so I can come out and say hi. She might be going to CMLL. It's possible. I'm confused. Poyle, I think I made the error. Who knows? Someone could look it up real quick. Yeah, Media. I think she will. Media, are you really friends with Tony? If you are, Tony Givens, tell him I said hi. Tony was always super good to me. Very kind. Tony was very cool to help get people to come onto the podcast, was always very friendly for the show, for the website, always gave me results, gave me the tips when shows were coming out, got me Chase Owens. I got to talk to Chase Owens before he was junior heavyweight champion. So yeah, I really did like Tony Givens a lot. I still do. Still hope, what is it now? Pro wrestling. Don't tell me. I know it, but I can't think of it. Whatever his show is now, formerly Smoky Mountain. I hope they're killing it. I don't know that they've actually returned yet, though. Yeah. Hey, that's cool. I'm gonna see you in New Orleans. We got to grab a picture. Hey, Poyo, I want to get your take, and you can talk to me offline about this. But have you heard about the drag wrestling show that's happening in Vegas at Area 15? I would love to get your takes on that. Innovative. Yes, innovative. I should have known. I think that's terrific. You should get those fluffy slippers like Peg Bundy used to wear. Um, whatever happened to the Naturals? Are you talking about Aaron? Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas? I know Chase Stevens is still wrestling. I think I just recently saw him wrestling Damian Wayne at Saw, I believe. Boy, that's awesome. Oh, Poyo, you're the best. So, yeah, we're talking about what's happening tonight on Power. And, of course, the main event, the coup de grace, the match that we're all waiting for. The OGK teaming with Rhett Titus, taking on La Rebellion and Damian Wayne. Now, it's funny because they say La Rebellion and Damian, and I said Damian Wayne, Damian 666, Damian 666. I would just call him La Rebellion. La Rebellion Amarilla in Mexico was a very large stable, not unlike the Bullet Club. And at one point, even Luke Hawk was a member of La Rebellion Amarilla. And I believe Damian Wayne might have been a part of that as well. So, I mean, I just call them La Rebellion if we're going to be about it. And they're taking on, the tag team champions and Damian Wayne. I did it again. Ah, man. I really like Damian Wayne. Maybe that's why I keep saying his name. La Rebellion and Damian 666 will be taking on the former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions and the former Ring of Honor television champion in Rhett Titus. And, this match is going to be really good. I don't believe that Damian 666 is in the prime of his career that he used to be. I mean, he was on Nitro some 20 plus years ago as part of the cruiserweight division. And that's funny. Wait, you're not going to New Orleans? That's a shame. Boy, that's a done dirty shame. That sucks. Well, whenever I cross paths with you, I'll be sure to grab a photo. Media M5 is popping for the Damian Wayne. And it's kind of interesting because he has wrestled multiple times for Wildcat. So I'm kind of secretly hoping that he makes his NWA debut in some sort of match with, one of those matches for the premier live event, the day that they're taping next. So that would be fun. Media M5 does not seem to be a fan of the OGK. There's rumors that they might have gotten signed by the WWE or that they're working on getting signed with the WWE, which I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I certainly don't want to waste much energy on them if they're not going to be around. They're a great tag team. I enjoy them very much. I kind of hope that they are the ones that are taking on La Rebellion at the pay-per-view for the tag titles. But we'll see. Poyo says lots of Wildcat talent on the next NWA pay-per-view. Not a bad thing. There's a lot of good guys there. I mean, hopefully we'll see Jay Spade make his return to the NWA. Like I said, it would be, in my personal opinion, I'd love to see Damian Wayne's return to the NWA. Here's a guy, and this is not trying to brag, okay? Not trying to say how much influence I had, but at one point, the Alliance had a message board. You guys remember message boards? Anyways, everyone knew, okay, Colt Cabana, Adam Pearce dropped the title in Australia. They're done with the NWA. It's not what Adam wanted to do. It's not really what Colt wanted to do. But unfortunately, the NWA at the time, Bruce Tharp and his partners were pushing for it. Tony Brooklyn and, of course, Fred Rubenstein. They were pushing for them to get the belt off of Pearce. Pearce had a couple of matches that he was willing to do the job that didn't work out for them. Eventually, it just didn't work out. So they take the title off of Pearce. They take the title off of Cabana. And they crown a new champion in New Jersey at a Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event. Now, this match was filled with champions from across the NWA. We're talking Chance Prophet. We're talking Damian Wayne. We're talking Jason Kincaid. There was a lot of other guys. Tony Nese was a part of the tournament. A few other names who I can't remember off the top of my head right now. And, of course, Tokyo Monster Kahagas, who would be the surprise entrant. But the reason why Damian Wayne didn't win the title was because they believed Damian Wayne, too many fans knew he was going to win. And it was on our board. We speculated that we thought Damian Wayne was going to win. He was the guy most deserving of that title victory. He was a former national champion, former North American champion. He was the guy to go. And they didn't put it on him because they wanted to pop the crowd. They wanted to pop the message board. One of the biggest mistakes they ever did. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from Tokyo Monster Kahagas. He did some pretty awesome things, including taking the 10 pounds of gold to the Dominican Republic. First time that had happened in many, many, many years. And really did a good job of taking that NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship all across the country. I just felt like Damian Wayne deserved that title win. He definitely deserved that title victory. And the fact that they stole that from him, they took that from him to pop a message board was bad business. Horrible business. Horrible business. But nevertheless, that's the history. I don't believe at 50 plus years age, Damian Wayne will ever get an actual shot at the 10 pounds of gold going forward. I don't think he'll get to wrestle for the title. And if he shows up in the NWA, I don't see them putting a title on him. But I think it would be nice to see somebody who was such an important part of the NWA, especially in a dark time for the NWA. That transition between the ownership from the pro wrestling organization to the International Wrestling Corporation, that transition was a dark time for wrestling fans. If you were a fan of the NWA, you know how things got. They got better, but they started off pretty bad, and then they ended pretty bad. Before Billy Corgan bought the NWA, things were really starting to come off the rails for them. There was a time when, yes, Rob Conway, as our boy Willie points out, Rob Conway, was defending that 10 pounds of gold at Wrestle Kingdom 3. I mean, that was a great time for the NWA. Jack Stane and Rob Conway defending the tag titles in Japan. And there was a ton of other talent kind of cycling through into Japan at the time, all because of the relationship the NWA had. And, of course, we know that worked out very well for Chase Owens, who's been a regular in New Japan since. But it took a while to get there, and when it went away, it really affected the brand. Hisa says Wayne even brought his wife all the way from Tennessee to New Jersey, didn't he? Yeah, I don't think it was from Tennessee. I think it was from Virginia. I think he was still living in Virginia at the time. And yeah, and just another thing that it just sucks. And I know that they got the U.S. tag titles as a secondary prize, consolation prize, but just that guy really got the raw end of the stick. You should listen to the interview I did with Damian Wayne. It's in the Sessions playlist on YouTube. We talk a lot about those times, and he's very grateful for those opportunities, but you could tell that he missed out. Dave Scooby brings up the golden ticket. Yes, the golden ticket. Who knows? Maybe he might be added to the pay-per-view as well. Poyo says, by the way, I have a new article popping up on Pro Wrestling Illustrated's website later this week. If anyone's interested, touches on some NWA goodies too. That's a great plug, Poyo. Of course, you guys make sure you check out the Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Poyo's doing my dream job of writing for PWI, so that's awesome. Kudos to you. Let's see. I don't know, Jay. I can see Billy's push Wayne just because he's a Jerry. Hey, maybe you're right, man. Maybe you're right. Matthew Underwood says, Scoob, does he cash for hard times? I mean, there's a good chance. Or maybe not hard times, maybe the night after. James Bell says, New Orleans is made for a match with Thrillbilly and Poil Del Mar. Yeah, man, I think that's what a miscalculation. I think they would go over huge in New Orleans. All right, well, that's going to do it for the show today. We covered, of course, the early days of NWA Power. Of course, we talked about tonight's episode of Power. Join us tomorrow at 3, this time tomorrow, actually, when Jeremy, Tim, and Scooby are going to be talking about NWA USA. Of course, I think they're going to do a deep dive into the TV title match and what the implications are going to be for the TV title. Plus, Dave Scooby's going to have some fantasy booking. and a lot of fun stuff. Make sure you check that show out. Those three guys really have a good time on the show, are a great addition to the Alliance family. And that's the other Alliance guys. They start this time tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And of course, if you would be so inclined to hear my take along with DKM and Jaden's take on the latest offerings from Power, join us at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, same spot, same place. And yeah, man, thanks so much for being here, guys. Really enjoy hanging out with you. And yes, New Orleans seems perfect for us. We're NWA's obvious it couple. Yeah, so much better than the Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona. All right, guys. Well, until then, man, hey, it was so much fun. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. for NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.